We've got a special CEO with us. Gay and bi social networking connections app Grindr has posted a stellar year, outperforming U.S. equity benchmarks as well as its peers in the dating space, notching positive returns versus declines. George Arison is with us now, CEO of Grindr. George, thank you so much for coming in. And I'm not exaggerating to say that the newsroom is looking forward to this conversation. It's caused so much debate, not specifically Grindr, but the whole dating app scene here. So just first off, give us some insight into how Gen Z feels about dating apps today.
Yeah, happy to. Well, first, it's a great week to be here because, Senator Secretary General called President Trump Daddy. And Daddy's a very popular tag on Grindr, so a lot of users have it in their profiles.
So this has been a big week for you.
It's been a big week.
We're assuming that General Secretary Rutte didn't mean that.
I assume not, but just saying. So Grindr is not just a dating product; it's a social network. People spend over an hour in the app a day, and they use it for many other things besides dating. Yesterday, we hosted a party, and there was a very famous singer there, and he told us that he met his manager on Grindr, which is like actual business networking, and that does happen on the app a lot. So the big reason we're different is because we have this social network we call it the Gayborhood on your phone. In London, you have Soho. In San Francisco, you have Castro, but in most places, those don't exist. And Grindr, over the last 15 years, has replaced that in a virtual way for millions of people, because we work in 190 countries around the world. And in a lot of those places, it's either illegal to be gay or it's very difficult to be gay, and people use Grindr in that sense. Gen Z is actually using Grindr in really no different way than previous generations. We have as many young people coming in as we've ever had before. That is not our challenge. Actually, where we have a lot of thinking to do and work to do is how do we keep people who are 40 engaged in the app, because their needs change as they get older, and we don't always have the features that they need for that. But I would say one area where younger generation is different than, say, my generation is that a lot more of them want to be married. So we did a survey in the United States of all gay and bi men in the country. It was a very deep survey. Out of people 35 and under, 50% of them said they want to be in a monogamous relationship in their lives, which is exponentially different from what we had before. 25% say they want to have children, which again, I have kids through surrogacy. When I would say I wanted kids 20 years ago, I was like a weirdo, but now it's becoming a common thing, which is really awesome.
But is that negative for the app?
No,
Because
it's
it means
great for the app.
less meeting and greeting, doesn't it? Less connections.
Well, but we can build different products to serve them for those things, right? Again, because we think of it as a social network, people don't leave Grindr after they get married. They stay in there for social connections. Frankly, if you go from living in San Francisco to living in Palo Alto, the app is more important for you in Palo Alto. But we are building dating features specifically for how do you find a long-term partner who might actually not be living with exactly around you, but in further away. But we need to be able to use AI to kind of identify, hey, this relationship actually makes sense from everything we know about you and everything we know about him. Why don't we connect you?
That's a completely different model to what dating apps have done previously, when it was all about location, and that was the main criteria here. We're also seeing, based on some things that I have read, an uptick in in-person dating, this trend around speed dating here. And I wonder if what you're seeing in terms of trends, given that your users are keen to find lifelong partners.
Well, and at Grindr, in real life connection is the outcome that we want, right? One of the things we measure is how often were locations shared, because that's a great proxy for us on whether an actual connection happened or not. And that's ultimately the end state. We want to facilitate in real life opportunities for people through the app, and I think we do that really well. And we'll continue to do that really well. I'm not actually worried about that. I think the problem with dating products is that they have not taken advantage of new technology over the last 10 years to make the products better. If you make products really great, users are going to come. And you kind of think of it hey, how do users come is not the answer. It's how do you create a great user experience, and then users will show up. And that's been our approach, make the product experience really amazing, and that will then drive all the results.
Oh, sorry, Karen, you go ahead.
I just want to bring up the stock market performance on the back of that comment, because what I've seen from the rivals Bumble and Match, they're having an absolute mare in terms of stock market performance this year, yet your stock has been almost a challenger to the computer and tech sector. You've outperformed and still still on the radar for a lot of the investors in the sector. Is that down to the changing nature of the product model where you are trying to create this feed? Was it 14.6 million monthly users, nowhere near an Instagram at 2 billion, but still the stickiness of the eyeballs on the app for longer periods of time, does it change the valuation? Is that why you're seeing the outperformance?
I hope so. I mean, I'm not a stock buyer. I'm here to run a business. But we are more like an Instagram than we are a Bumble, both in how users use us, but also in the technology that we're building. Like, we are working at kind of the very frontier ends of AI that is being created. We take, foundational models and then get them retrained for gayfication, because a lot of them actually don't take the gay language and how people think into account, and then use that to create products. So, for example, we created A-List, which is a way for you to summarize your inbox with the most important people for you to talk to, with summaries of the conversation you had. Wow. And we launched that, 6 months before Gmail started to create summaries of your emails, which makes, in some ways, no sense, but it's because we've been really at the forefront of taking AI and creating previously impossible product experiences for people, and now we can actually do them.
George, you've got to send that technology to this one here. She has no idea what's going on in her inbox, I can assure you. It's hopeless. No, look, my partner would be annoyed with me if I did know more about these apps, so because it's been a long while. But look, the truth of the matter is there's a lot out there. There's over 1,500 dating apps out there, I saw. There's over 1,400 in the UK. A lot of them are going to be trying to do the same thing you're doing as well, aren't they?
Sure, and we want competition. We know that in this space people use more than one product. People use TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter all at once, and that works. So we don't have a problem with that. We just want to be first in wallet product, meaning the one that people go to first and spend the most time in.
It's interesting you talked about other kind of ways and mediums of meeting people and what have you, because I belong to one community. I'll hold my hands up. I'm on the Strava community, and it's become. There are subgroups on Strava now where people hook up, where people meet just socially, but also just to find a life partner as well. Because, and I did read an article earlier this year about communities who are bypassing dating apps, like whether they're gaming, whether they're running like I do, whether they do other social activities as well. And the article pretty much is saying this is the big challenger, not other dating apps eating each other's lunch, but actually other communities thinking, hang on, we can put on a kind of a meeting up part to this as well to help people find their partners.
Well, and that's why we think of Grindr as a gayborhood, and in a gayborhood you find a lot of other experiences besides meeting people for a relationship. I mean, that's a big part of it, but there's so much more going on. And our question is, how do we offer those products to people and those services to people in the app? So, for example, a few months ago we launched what's called Woodwork. That's a product in the US where you can buy ED medication through a telehealth provider, and it's shipped directly to you, and that's built out for Grindr. We know that our users buy ED medications a lot from other services, but they're very straight focused services, and now we're building a more gay focused service. And we're going to take other parts of gay life and areas where we know our users spend money or buy a product and create uniquely gay type of experiences for them, precisely from the community sense that you're describing.
So far you've been talking about real people, but there's a world of non-real people that are bots.
Yep.
How are you thinking about whether a companion that is AI fits the community versus also stopping some of the fakes that might be getting into the system?
I think AI companions are going to be really big. We have a beta product that we call Wingman. That's not quite a companion, but it's meant to be like an AI navigator through the app for you. That's in the hands of a small number of people, mostly looking at what questions do they ask, because then we can build solutions to that through products. And with bots, it's a really big challenge, and it has been for many years. But actually, AI is making it a lot easier to find bots. And you can then use AI to identify who are not real actors and get them off the app. Or sometimes it's actually better to have honey traps for them. Because it's one thing to be playing whack-a-mole, getting bots off, but it's another thing to have your own bots in the app that find the bots and then spend hours talking to them so they don't bother real users. And our goal is obviously to do both. It's really important to have the app be clean and have it be real people talking to each other rather than people who are trying to use the app, whether ours or another social product, to do bad things.
It's highly sophisticated.
It is. It's incredible listening to you that you're really hammering home the point that Grindr is as much a tech company as it is a dating service and an ecosystem, as you said, for a community here. You said that one of the biggest challenges you're facing now is getting over 40s to use your services. What is the plan there? I mean, when you talk about the youngest users now wanting to settle down, get married, have kids, you don't really think about having time to use an app. So why are you even targeting this segment?
Well, they all have a Grindr account. I mean, a very large portion of gay and bi men in the world have a Grindr account, but they just might not use it as frequently as we think they should be. Our MAU is about 15 million, but our YAU, meaning yearly active users, is actually much, much larger. And that's kind of the infrequent user. So we solve that by giving them features that they want, right? You try to understand, hey, what would make you use the app more, and then build those. And for them, for example, being able to discover people that are not in their immediate vicinity is a really big thing. So we recently launched a component of Grindr called Discover, which actually uses AI to match you with other people that are similar to you, but from anywhere in the world. So they can see a much broader set of people, which, for an older person, it might be more appealing than just, hey, these are the 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 people living immediately around you.
It's been such a fascinating conversation and really interesting to hear all the technology you're working with as well. George, thank you for joining us this morning. George Arison with us, the CEO of Grindr.